What's going on, everybody? I'm Dylan. I run Quest for Nostalgia, and this video is going to be how I made this awesome White Ranger armor. So let's get into the video. This video is really surreal to be making for me. I actually started this armor back in October. I was the White Ranger for Halloween. I actually finished this project back then, but ended up having a really bad damage to the armor and had to repaint the entire thing for this video so that you guys could get to see it when it was finished. So I actually started making this thing back in October before the passing of Jason David Frank. And so it was really hard on me to kind of have this project going on at the same time. You guys have seen my White Ranger helmet video where I talked about how I made the White Ranger helmet, and so I was always going to be doing this armor set. I have a Red Ranger Turbo helmet that was also being in the process of being made when I got that news. So this video has been kind of crazy for me. The whole projects have been really hard. I've been also doing a Green Ranger tutorial for you guys because you guys used to be able to see it there. I actually ended up getting rid of the one and doing a new one and got some more Green Ranger commissions coming in. So you guys are getting a Green Ranger tutorial out there as well. So much has revolved around, Jason, that it's just wild. This content here is pretty crazy. So this is going to be in celebration of him. It's amazing to have something like this in my home and something that's just a good memory of him. But yeah, I just want you guys to know that I'm there with you, and it definitely hit me very hard, and it was just crazy to think that I'm making so many things that he's never going to get to see, unfortunately, but you guys get to see it, and like I said, it's going to be a celebration of Jason. So enjoy the video and enjoy this build process as we get into it. I want to start by asking you guys, what's your favorite series in the Power Rangers there? Are you a Mighty Morphin fan? Are you a Turbo fan? Do you like Zeo? What's your favorite? What's your favorite Jason David Frank iteration as well? Do you like the green, the white better? Just let me know in the comments below. Let's just chat a little bit and just share some love. If you guys want to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, or monetary support like Patreon, thank you Balance, Vin, thank you Beaver. I really appreciate that support and you guys backing me to do the creative things that I want to do. But yeah, as I mentioned, I actually finished this project before Halloween. I was the White Ranger for Halloween. I had a great time, but I kind of rushed it. I used Plasti Dip in areas to try to make it look a little bit more foam-like, and that actually was really bad for 3D prints. It scuffed, it peeled up, it was terrible. So I sanded the whole thing down and had to start all the way over and did the whole process again in the way that I usually would finish a helmet. This process took me a long time to do it twice. There's just so much armor to there. Even though it looks kind of small, it's just a lot with forearm bracers and shins and, your bicep rings and the belt and the chest, everything, it was a lot. Usually I would go into how I 3D printed everything, but I'll explain at the end why I'm not going to go into the print orientation for this build. But yeah, let's get into it. I had it split into different pieces. I pretty much made the armor, left half and right half because it would be nice to be front and back, but that seam right down the middle already was pretty nice to have, so I just kind of kept that to keep the pieces nice and smooth and not have these crazy lines in them. With having multiple pieces, I made sure I sanded the edges down with 80 grit so that they were nice and flush, and then after I sanded those edges, I just checked the fitment for that. The next thing I do is just tack weld it, so I get them lined up and then I just weld a little piece there so that it holds it in place. And then I go ahead and I really weld it. I go down the seam, I kind of fold both layers of plastic over there. I'm going to be doing a PLA welding tutorial so that you guys get a more in-depth guide to welding. So yeah, I had a left side and a right side, and that way it could go around me because I could not get my head through the neck hole. Like I mentioned, I finished this project before Halloween, but then decided to repaint it. And when you do that, when you have to sand something down, you have to sand down everything. Get all the way back down there. You can't just kind of barely do it because then you're going to get bad paint reaction. So I sanded it all the way down with 80 grit. Now that I had a fresh start, I went up from there. I did 120 grit over the entire pieces of armor as well. A lot of these have big surfaces that I could use the power sander for a lot of, so that was very nice. When I did this second go around, I actually resin printed the emblem and it came out really nice. And then I was ready to hit everything with filler primer. Painting filler primer is really easy because you don't really have to worry about runs. You don't really get runs. It's pretty thick and viscous. So you just go over all the parts with the filler primer. After the filler primer was on there, I could still see a few of the seams from the armor there. So I just used a little bit of Bondo glazing putty to fill that in. With all of that filled in and looking pretty smooth, I went ahead and did 220 sanding grit to go through all of the parts. Next was 320 grit, and that's going to be my last layer of sanding for this armor set, so I just did 320. With everything sanded, it's now time to finally actually put down some paint. So I did a satin black over all of the armor. This, you do want to make sure that you're not being super heavy with the paint. You want to go through and do light coats and make sure that you don't get any runs. Because I was leaving the armor pieces black, I then hit it with satin clear. I did the clear coat first because I was going to be masking that, and the gold was going to be getting a completely different type of clear coat. So I did satin clear coat on the armor pieces. And so you have everything clear coated. Then I went ahead and I masked everything with 3M automotive masking tape. And so you're seeing it here. This is it all masked off. I have all of the black pieces completely covered that are going to remain black. Next, I used the same Rust-Oleum gold that I used for the helmet there over the entire armor there. After the gold was painted, I just then hit it with a 1K clear coat, which is really nice and shiny. It doesn't dull the gold and looks really, really nice. All right, let's get into the attachment of how this armor is actually set on the body. I used Velcro, so I put Velcro on the chest and on the belly, and then exactly on the same spot on the back there. What I did was I took a rectangle of the Velcro and I cut the one side of there into 2 squares, put that on each half, and then I left the one as a full rectangle that would be kind of like this hinge part for both. And so I did that on all of the pieces, the chest, the belly, the back, lower back, and then I also did the same concept for the belt. I put it behind the belt and on the back there. And then I also did exactly the same concept for the chest emblem. I put 2 squares on the 2 halves and then 1 solid piece to connect both of those, and then stuck the emblem onto it. And that's worked for right now, you know, getting on there. I think there's definitely going to be better ways to do it. Maybe purse class magnets where they actually kind of hold themselves into the spot there. May try to change that up a little bit because it is kind of hard to put on with Velcro. Velcro wants to grab too early and then it's hard to peel it and keep it in line. So Velcro isn't my favorite way to go about doing this. The forearms were, you know, intact there. Same thing with the bicep rings. But what you need to do is use elastic for the shins. I actually split the shins in half because you can't stick your foot through the shin there, unfortunately. So cutting it into 2 halves and then elasticing it allows it to have just enough give to be able to stick your foot through, and then it pull back to the form that you need it to be at. And with that, it's done. The shins looked amazing. The forearms, I mean, gosh, the gold came out so nice on these pieces. The high gloss, leaving the satin behind. I really love the way this armor came out. It's pretty amazing having this armor set in the house, even if it's just as kind of like a display set now. You know, I wore it for Halloween and now it's kind of going to sit on this mannequin for a while, but I love seeing this in the room. I think it's a really great celebration of Jason, and I'm very, very happy that I got to finish this. Let's talk about why I didn't explain 3D printing orientation for you guys here. And that's because I actually wouldn't recommend you 3D print this armor. As much as it comes out super clean and I really like the way that this looks, I think that the foam is actually a better medium. You wouldn't have to do any of the crazy amounts of sanding that I did there, and it would be a little bit more true to the old school, you know, early 90s, like kind of rough Mighty Morphin look to it. And so I really enjoy this, but I think that you'd get more flexibility, more movement. It'd be easier to attach. You could keep the front solid and kind of fold it around you a little bit easier when trying to put it on. So I definitely think that foam is the better medium for this, but I do hope that you enjoyed the build and seeing me, you know, make this even if it's 3D printed. Clearly, you get sharper emblems, sharper lines. Everything looks super crisp and really, really nice. So there is definitely a reason to 3D print it. If you really think that you couldn't do it with foam yourself and that you're better with a 3D printer, then go for it. But I think foam would have been a huge time saver. And yeah, like I said, it's just easier to wear. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching the build. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Thank you so much for the support. The community has been so amazing with the passing of Jason and just being so tight-knit and so supportive. So I'm really happy to see the Power Ranger community so close right now. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed the video. And I will catch you guys in the next one. I've got Green Ranger helmet tutorials coming. Red Ranger Turbo helmet is going to be the next one there. So you're going to get to see another Jason David Frank helmet. But I love you guys, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.